Oh, did you catch me drinking some beer? Whoops. Just kidding. It's my day off. Um, I take a lot of days off, don't I? That's okay. Okay, so actually, it's my chore day. I'm doing chores. I need a little bit of motivation. Like I tell, I walk over to CVS across the street. And I'm like, any excuse, any old excuse at this point, right? Right, like some of my distant of Maria's relatives, I'll call them, because I don't really have a relationship with any of my Mexican, I guess, kin. Um, will say that we're working out our arms. We're like, lifting all day long. So I'll drink to that one. Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to go live to talk about that. All right, so just a few things that I need to sort of process and put out into cyberspace for whomever wants to, I guess, digest or agree or disagree, and have another voice to add to their, I guess, repertoire of opinions and the reasoning behind it, because I think that being better informed to make your own decision is the best way to make a decision. And here's mine. So I'm a little bit more like maybe far out, like I'm thinking, I wouldn't say that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe in the unseen. I believe in like the supernatural world, and I believe that when you can conquer a supernatural world, it makes you stronger. It makes you have like all the more self control, not just over yourself, but over um, life and the true meaning of what life is. Life is not confined to what our senses can perceive. It's a little bit more than that. So I just want to sort of like get the ball rolling with this. So I'm a little bit in like at the verge of despair and giving up, because I realized that not only our government is like so set in their ways that young people with a fresh idea, with having observed all the mistakes, and have thought to themselves, how did this happen? What can we do to improve and avoid such a cycle of complacency? And by the way, I do want to talk about cycles, because a vicious cycle doesn't necessarily have anything to do with physical abuse. It can also be psychological abuse, and it can be just as violent. It can be just as violent, not to your exterior perhaps, but to your interior, which is even more important, because as God has said himself, don't when in the passage where it is written, don't be afraid of those that can kill the body, be afraid of those that can kill the soul. What that means is there's going to be confrontations, and you're going to be afraid, and that's understandable. Nobody wants to be bruised up and be in pain by a gigantor that wants to like throw them in the trash can because they won't get peer pressured, and so you get hazed, and you have to go along with like the popular group. And if you're a better and bigger person, just because you're small doesn't mean that you have to go along with it, sort of thing. Like, so this is where God has asked us to, but that's okay. Like, don't give up on who you are inside, because who you are inside is more important than what you are outside. And so that's what that passage means when you are being challenged, yeah, challenged really. But so I'm really like disappointed. There's no such thing as being disappointed by ignorant fools. That's like a given. You're an ignorant fool. You shouldn't even have any expectations for certain types of people. They're just and conservatives shouldn't be concerned with changing anybody, because that's rule number one in engaging or disengaging from abusive relationship. You don't want to have an abusive relationship in your romance, in your romantic life, personal life. You don't want to have that relationship in your career life, in your um, uh, otherwise romantic life. It works the same way. But I was just a little bit saddened. It's like it's sad. It's like, oh man, like I just um it's sort of like people are allowed to be lousy and miserable and then take it out on other people and not feel any remorse towards it. And it when you're a good person and you see that, and you see how there could possibly be anybody that's subjected to this type of tyranny, it saddens you. It makes your voice shiver a little bit, like, oh, so sorry for you. I don't know. But then you like kind of have to come back and realize, um, let willpower be willpower. And I think that this is what is meant in the passage where it is written that let those who have eyes see and those who have ears hear. Meaning, you can't. I think that is brought me back to, I think, the point I was trying to make before, where you can change people, and you can change people that are subjected, and you can change people that are the oppressors. So yes, there was there is white people that I think are hurting right now. So I can't you can't judge. I'm not judging them like and you were born bad and you were permanently bad. There are people that do that, and for me, I'm hoping that it's more a little of what's happening in the economy, and getting up in arms about life, and trying to become a part of what they think is going to be like the safest and most secure place to, I guess, resort to. So, but it's true. I'm not condescending in any way. I'm just saying that um, I let things be, and this is my approach. My approach is the only time that I get like really I lose it after like I lose it after like so much, like when people try and get under my skin. Believe me, like it takes a lot to really get me to, and I really don't react, but throw a few f-bombs and that sort of thing. But that's really as bad as I'm gonna get, and that's how I'm gonna keep it. And that's like the level of I guess of defensive um, mechanism I'm gonna use. But and we should all have our own our own defense mechanism, and if that's what works for me, then fine. But I definitely don't like to get peer pressured, which is why I'm not a Democrat anymore. I used to think that I was just kind of like um, being like sort of what's the word? I guess sorry. What was like acting in good faith, like giving people the benefit of like I guess you can call it naive. I guess I was, but that's what it was, and ultimately is I think that everybody should get a chance to really like grow up and learn and grow into themselves and that and go from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up on where I left off last. I was talking about Sandy Ocasio's plan. I don't know why they call her Alexandria. I'm really confused now about whether she's Alexandria or Sandy. Um, I don't know. I mean, okay, so I can respect that she wants to be called Alexandria, but Alexandria is also an important city in Egypt, and I don't know if she's worthy of bearing a name of a city with such rich history. So I'm a little bit hesitant. But so is she. I mean, she's not hesitant. She's willy nilly. She's willy nilly with her 14-page plan, which after reading it, I can pretty much assure you can be condensed to a one-page plan because it's so redundant and it really it offers no concrete steps on how to actually fix the climate. As I said before, is there's really nothing that I'm going to change about my own life because I think that a lot of us want to be like a person that is and environmentally conscious, especially the way that I grew up. And I grew up in, back and forth. Not, I wouldn't say back and forth, but when I grew up here, I was born and went to schools here in the States. But when I was in Mexico, you'd be surprised how um, it's not like a humble way of life now that I think of it. I mean, like they serve everything is recycled. Everything is very minimal, like minimalistic, but not like in an aesthetic way, but in a clean way and in a way to preserve the open land, nature, and that sort of thing. So, and what I mean by that is like if you go to like a little mart and you just want to get like a soda, they'll serve it like in a little plastic baggie, and a plastic baggie is a little bit, I guess, less harmless than if what you're doing all day long. And so like the glass gets recycled and it just gets reused. And my feeling is and that's just one example, but that is what the Mexican way of life is they can do this and there is no like complex about it. There is no like, oh, you can't afford another bottle. Like stupid fucking people here, like they're so fucking aesthetic and they think that being like amassing worthless items is like, I guess, dictates how important and powerful you might be. Sorry for levels. Okay, but that's really, yeah, annoying. So I would have liked to hear a little bit more on. I mean, come on. I think it's like such a like. Um, I think she wants to call it like a fail safe type of a of an order where I'm sorry, not an order, but a Congress bill that anything can fall under it. Like anything can fall under that bill, and it's so like she can't be fucking serious, but she is. She's serious. She wants to be very radical. Um, okay. All right. Well, let's give it to her for that because that she is. Um, but I would have myself personally addressed the Amazon the lungs of the earth, the rainforest. I mean, can she do something like that? Because you know what? These people like to act like they're Mother Teresa's, but they don't put their money where their mouth is. They never do. They won't. They won't do it. They like to talk. They just like, yep, 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 vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. I need my, so it's, what it's job security. It's job security. It's scaring people into believing that if you don't vote for them, they're gonna have like some like bad omen over their entire lives. But they're the ones that already have connections to like and like big tech psychotic bastards and the Antifa, BLM, like all the like street level hoodlums. Like they already have those connections with them as they're working in Congress. So they're going to leave. And then that shadow that follows people that didn't vote for them is going to come back to haunt them. And so then they're going to terrorize the rest of the world. So they're just creating little terrorists, which is why they actually defend Hamas now. I mean, that's all they're doing. They don't have like any kind of criteria for. They don't have a framework for how to assess a person of character and a person that is just their avatar, and they're okay with that because they think that the rest of the world is scummy, and now they're just going to be scummy too. And that's not leadership. That's not leadership. That is kicking the can down the road for somebody else to fix later, which I'm sure a lot of people are happy to, except you just need to get out of the way, honey. Get out of the way, sister. Thank you. All right, so my next point. Okay, I'm done with that 14-pager. It's a one-page proposal on nothing. It's a one-page proposal on nothing original. That's for sure. Nothing. Her mentor has got to be Bernie Sanders. Like her best, like it's got to be. Okay, like she's like a Bernie sister. Yep, that's some good stuff. Corona and a little bit of clamato, just a little bit. All right, so let me just read this real quick. Anytime a Democrat has something dirty and nonsensical to say, it's because you're about to see the exact same behavior by them. And then you're stuck in the middle, unable to make a decision as to whose opinion to take. That is, okay. Can I pause this? Let me just hang on a second.
Hi. Hi, how are you? Here for the filters?
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, hey, how are you?
We in.
Esa es basura, ¿verdad? Ay, qué guapa.
Yeah, right. Okay, voy a pausar acá.
No, si anda bien guapa.
No, estoy grabando.
Oh, sorry.
And I'm live too. Okay, so that is my friends here. So I'm gonna stop this and I'll continue in just a minute.